Hey everybody, this is John with the Active Towns channel, and I am in Luxembourg City with a special guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
Moyen, I'm Christian. I run Youth for Planet's CreatiVelo initiative.
Fantastic, fantastic. We'll talk about that in a little bit when we get in a quieter realm, but we are here at the Central train station, beautiful train station in front of a two-way cycle track right here, which is pretty cool, and we also have a tram line. This is going to be a lot of fun.
This will be great. We're going to travel from Luxembourg City, the capital city of our country, about an hour to the former steel capital of Europe, Esch-sur-Alzette, which is now transitioning to active mobility, an active town, and a university town.
Fantastic. That's great. Which way are we rolling?
We're going to go that way.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we're going to turn these beasts around. I've got my Brompton, of course, and you've got your nice Riesenmuller cargo bike here.
Road 75, yes. Sandra Wolf, you're the best.
Nice. Okay, well, let's go do it. Let's go have some fun.
Let's go.
All right. So talk a little bit about what we're riding on right now. I get the sense this is relatively new.
So the double track that you see right now was part of the former Transportation Minister, Francois Bausch. He was the Transportation Minister for Luxembourg, the country, and he's behind the tram that you see here.
Okay.
That is paid for by Luxembourg taxes without any further rider fees.
Okay.
And part of that active mobility, well, the tram is not active mobility, but the cycle track as well was part of that.
Sure, sure.
So,
well, like we always say about, transit it always begins and ends with some form of active mobility, typically.
Yeah, so what's really nice is that more and more Luxembourgers, because Luxembourg is one of the 3 European capitals along with Brussels and Strasbourg. There are so many people that are coming into Luxembourg every day that without a cycle track, you can't get to your meeting on time.
Right.
So I can beat anybody in Luxembourg City on my cargo bike.
Right.
And the joy that I feel, like when I burn off calories, I'll go to my Lions Club meeting.
Yeah.
I purposely chose a Lions Club 30 kilometers away.
Okay.
So that when I get there, I'm alert, I'm ready to discuss how we can help needy nonprofits.
Yeah.
And as well, we have dinner afterwards. I burn off the calories on the way back.
Nice, nice.
So the majority of trains are electrified.
Okay.
So as you see here, like when you go towards the main station that we just left, what you'll see is all the cabling, all the infrastructure. You also see, for example, across the bridge, you have Luxembourg City's hard drug withdrawal center.
Okay.
So what is interesting in Luxembourg, that we're a working town. Our 50-year history as a banking finance center is relatively new.
Okay.
And so we have a lot of legacy demographics related to deindustrialization. Okay. That, like many cities, for example, I spent 16 years in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky really knows firsthand what deindustrialization means for a factory town.
Right, right.
So in order to be an active town, I'm really glad to see that the bike paths go through almost every neighborhood.
Yeah, and swinging around. We've got this wonderful, very, very wide multi-use path here. We've got a gal swinging by here. It looks like she's got a nice Trek electric assist bike. The electric assist helped out quite a bit. We're pausing here in part so that I could catch my breath coming up that hill. You've got an electric assist there. With the hills that you have here, I can totally see that electric assist is starting to change the game, and we can roll as we talk about that. But yeah, it's pretty important, I think, for the city. Yeah.
It's really important. So the Tour de France teams train a lot in Luxembourg.
Yeah.
Every so often, the Tour de France will have their stages in Luxembourg.
Right.
And when you go up those hills at 40 kilometers an hour as a pro athlete, it's very different than if I do it in eco mode, or even in turbo mode. I'll do in turbo mode on this bike, an e-bike, I'll go up 7 kilometers an hour.
Yeah. See? Of course, we do have some very famous pro cyclists that have come from here, including the Schleck brothers.
Both Andy and his brother. Andy won the Tour de France. They have a cycle shop, and they also run a local bicycle race called the Tour de Luxembourg. So come back in 70 days, that'll be running.
Nice. And you can see we are now on our own two-way cycle path here, and the pedestrians have some space off to our left. We're rolling along the tracks. Again, this is a nice transformation. And again, it looks like it's relatively new.
It's all relatively new, and what I'm really looking forward is when the people use it a lot more. Like right now, you'll see 80%, 90% of the people are still in their cars. But that will change.
And we do see that we have excellent transit coverage in this area as well. And we do see some people waiting for their transit connections. And this is part of it. You've got to build out your networks, your overlapping mobility networks. You need that bike network, the pedestrian network, and the public transit network in concert with the road mobility network. Once you get that built out, then you can start working on incentives, change behavior.
So I'm really curious. You interviewed John Bouters, the former mayor of Emeryville. And what were your big takeaways from your conversation with him? For example, when he would have mixed housing with bicycle tunnels through the apartment buildings where people could just roll in, roll out of their residence.
I mean, whether it's conversations with John or others, the go-to strategy is you have to make it easy to take that active mobility route, and also start working on disincentivizing and subsidizing the alternative of driving. If we keep making driving the easy default choice, people will still make it its habit. But over time, if you are able to make that transformation happen, you can start to change behavior. And little things like in Emeryville, little things that aren't so little, but they add up, like making a bike path through a building. You know, gee, where have we seen that before? The Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam.
Copenhagen,
you know what I mean?
They have it,
You have it all the time. In other words, you're creating less friction for doing the active mobility choice.
You're helping the flow.
You're helping the flow. You're making that easy active mobility choice. You're making that pragmatic, practical, convenient, and comfortable.
You know, for a mom, a dad, grandparents who just want to roll in, roll out with the groceries, with the kids, you make it super easy.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been rolling for a little while now, and we're still kind of parallel to the train tracks and the trams and the buses. And you definitely get the sense that we're sort of in kind of a suburban context, sort of an industrial kind of complex. We're not in the heart of the historic city center anymore.
No, it's interesting you say that. Luxembourg made an economic decision 40 years ago.
Yeah.
We're gonna go up and around. The bicycle path is been stripped away here, so we have to go up and around a little
let's
bit.
go up and around.
So Luxembourg, for better or for worse, decided to have an economic pillar based on gasoline and diesel tourism. So that means like a lower cost, a lower cost offering than neighboring countries. So we have less taxes on gasoline and diesel.
Right.
And when you drive around Luxembourg, what will you see?
Yeah.
No gasoline stations on the Belgian side of the border, the German side of the border, the French side of the border.
Yeah.
Hundreds, if not thousands, of gasoline and diesel stations.
Yeah.
Including the biggest Shell station in the world is in Luxembourg.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So they really just went whole hog into oil, gas, and all that.
So
looks like we're going to have to probably maneuver, so maybe just take that little thing there.
Yeah.
So
maybe we can do it?
Yeah, I think we can do it.
All right. So what I'm curious is in Louisville, Kentucky, they have the biggest heat island suffering in the United States right after Phoenix.
Right.
Phoenix makes more sense because it's not self-inflicted with the desert.
Right.
But Louisville, Kentucky...
Oh, it's still self-inflicted.
Yeah.
But it's amplified because of the desert.
So in Luxembourg, as you can see, they have greens under the tram.
Right.
But you don't see a lot of trees.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm really curious when people see this video, you know, what they'll want to see in the 2.0 version of the climate resilience landscaping here.
Right. Yeah. And you can tell we are in a construction zone, so we're going to have to divert
Luxembourg,
here.
This is an improvement over a year ago. This was catastrophic for bikers a year ago.
Yeah.
So.
We've got the... Trams on grass. Gotta love it.
So in theory, that's a bicycle path.
Okay.
But in reality, no, not yet. So we're gonna stay on the street.
Okay.
You might be able to get through it. Do you want to try or no? Is the street okay? All right.
Let's go. We'll control it.
Yeah.
We'll be part of the traffic jam.
So you're gonna laugh. I'm not wearing it now.
Yeah.
But I have a motorcycle full visor helmet that I normally wear.
Yeah.
And a airbag vest. I have two airbag vests in case one is recharging.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious, based on your experience, how many cities are bus drivers, public employees, really well trained to deal with cyclists in their shared spaces?
I think it's getting, I mean, the question really is, you know, how many of the cities where we have our city drivers, our bus drivers, municipal employees, how well trained are they for people walking and biking in their cities? They're much better trained than the average person driving a car. Is there room for improvement? Of course. Yeah. And there's some wonderful programs out of Fort Collins, Colorado. Jamie Gaskill, she's with one of the top trainers with the League of American Bicyclists. She developed a driver training program that is really instrumental in helping cities and other employers train their employees if they need to be out on the streets driving, how to interact with people who are walking and biking.
That's great.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So we'll go kind of around till we get to the bicycle path.
Okay.
So we can go, it's kind of funny. Not a great transition. Are you all right? All right.
Yeah, so again, part of the rough transitions here. It looks like this is only for pedestrians at the moment. I wonder what their plan is or was for people on bikes. Did they forget it?
They forgot it.
Whoops.
So this would be a great place for a cycling education. Like if you really wanted to have all the kids, whether preschool, kindergarten, first through high school, with a local, easy to get to grassy area to practice with, you know, their cycling skills.
Yeah.
The Parc de Gasperet that we're going by right now would be it.
Yeah. Well, the good news is they've got more than enough space to add the appropriate cycle infrastructure here. They just didn't do it.
So it's interesting, in the newspaper yesterday they mentioned that this park still needs 4 million euros. In needed.
Oh, hey, look down here though. Let's jump down there for a second.
Sure.
Because down there, curiously, they have signs that say "Bikes Welcome."
Yep.
So, here's a head scratcher.
Yeah.
So down here, we have a wonderful smooth tarmac where this is considered appropriate for people riding bikes and people walking.
Yeah.
But you can't get there from up there.
This is a recurring problem in Luxembourg. We have missing puzzle infrastructure.
And your city, not to beat up on your city, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Just like this. We have so been profoundly impacted around the globe by car brain, motor normativity, as Professor Ian Walker calls it, that we just forget about anything that's not people wearing a coat of car. So,
so I'm really curious because in Luxembourg, people, if they could, would take their car to go from the bedroom to the toilet. And are doubling every 4 years in obesity, our Kentucky-style diabetes rates. Everything that is good for you, bicycling makes better. So I'm really hoping that the word gets out in the newspapers and just culture. We go straight. So the question is, how do you communicate that effectively?
Let's pull up right over here. I just want to focus on some of what we're seeing here. So we've just come off of that parkland area there. We've got some, just some crops still growing right here. We have some high-rise building. We see the big Deloitte building there. We've got some sort of a structure with it looks like leaves on it. Please don't tell me that that's a car parking structure.
That's an office building.
That's an office building. Fantastic. But I also wanted to point out, we've got these nice little wildflowers kind of growing along here and some green as we continue down this pathway. you know, we've seen an awful lot in a very short period of time of, you know, that kind of gritty industrial things. We rode through some very, very awkward transitions. Construction's currently there. An awkward transition down to this particular path here. But there's a lot of good bones and there's a lot of potential here.
There's so much potential. Like here you see actually biomimicry flood control. You see that there needs to be a biodynamic farm within the city limits to help with flood control.
Yeah.
And you can have multi-million euro housing in an area that's challenging with water.
Yeah.
If you keep the natural environment unbuilt.
Yeah, I'm gonna swing the camera around too because you just mentioned housing and I totally forgot to mention the fact that it looks like those are either condominiums or apartments right there, right next to the office complex. And so yeah, we have a little bit of everything right here within eyesight.
So what's fantastic in Luxembourg is if we would really work on the flow, the one thing that's missing here is a really enlightened, intelligent platform of cycling bridges. This is a quasi-cycling bridge, but this is a rarity in Luxembourg.
Right.
And we really need to have a Marshall Plan for flow for active mobility here.
For active mobility. And we are on a shared use path, and this is completely fine. Right now the numbers don't dictate separation of the different modes, walking and biking mode, as long as we, as people on bikes, are not being rude and going too fast when there are you know, more vulnerable road users, space users, multi-use path users. We need to slow down and don't be rude. Yeah.
So at a lot of the Luxembourg preschools, on the roads before you get to the preschool driveway, drop-off point, they'll spray paint large pictures of squirrels and other wildlife, just to give people a heads up.
Right.
And you're on a Brompton, I'm in eco mode here.
Right.
So we're going at what I like to call butterfly speed.
Yeah.
Where the butterfly will fly faster than we cycle.
Yeah.
Which is respectful. Like
Yeah.
if for some reason a kid just pops out, you have to be able to stop in time.
Exactly. And since there's a butterfly right behind you, I think we should get to butterfly speed right now. Let's roll. Yeah, bringing the pollinators back is such a huge part, I think, for a city's health as well. And yeah, what a great environment for, you know, maybe a family to be able to do part of their commute is to ride on this pathway too.
Yeah.
Head over to that park, you know, that's a fun thing.
Run to the field. So hedges are really important in Luxembourg and Europe. One of the big mistakes that the ministers of agriculture frequently testified to after World War II, when they really needed to feed millions of nearly starving people, they got rid of the small family farms and they engaged on a huge Marshall Plan for agriculture.
Right.
But they destroyed the biodiversity. And a lot of the legacy problems that we're seeing now, with microplastics polluting everywhere, with heating, with soil quality degradation, have to do that we're no longer having small farm holdings that are respectful of nature, and that use windbreaks like trees and hedges to maintain soil quality and water quality and storage. And it goes the same for cities, that nobody wants to live in a city in the desert, which, like Louisville has a big problem, Phoenix has a big problem. And I really hope that people looking at Luxembourg figure out, okay, what's our 2.0?
We're obviously looking at a really major, large intersection here. We've got multiple lanes of traffic. We have a bus-only lane. We've got some really good green infrastructure separating the bike lane and the pedestrian realm, which is also here in front of us. And this is, you know, it's kind of created a protected intersection situation. The way that this is configured, we're waiting for our bike signal that will get us across.
So in theory, there are radars that
Yeah.
should recognize us, but
Yeah.
as you can see, not really.
Yeah.
So that there are different. It would be nice if they had, for example, just by you, if they had a bicycle-friendly
Right.
pedestrian crossing button.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's that's true. We were sitting here. I was just assuming it was because it was a big intersection, but that was not flashing. That was not indicated that it picked us up, which means they probably need a loop right about here as we're approaching, so that it can anticipate us getting here, prioritize us getting across.
So that's one question I have for people looking at this video in the discussion. What can Luxembourg do better? If, for example, the Bloomberg Philanthropies, they had another design competition for the best plan, what would you see we have to build after Bicycle Infrastructure 1.0?
Yeah. I could also see, you know, as well, of just kind of tapping into the resources that are available within the ECF, the European Cyclist Federation. They probably have some good knowledge. Now, I'm assuming we're about to get ours because the other one just lit up, and it did. Boom. Here we go. And that's really taking us to that next, you know, that really is Cycle Infrastructure 2.0. That's starting to look at the Internet of Things of, you know, adding a little bit of technology to the cycle path and being able to help facilitate a continuous flow and shifting that priority to, you know, people to be able to make it across an intersection like here without the friction of feeling like you've been forgotten, and treating people with a little more dignity. Yeah.
You know, I'm really curious, like would underground tunnels work at intersections? Would a bridge work?
Yeah, I would be hesitant to do underground tunnels unless you really needed to.
You would be? Okay.
I mean, if there's no other way, that's a strategy. Underground tunnels is a strategy that, oh yeah, we just end here.
So we'll go here. Make a hard
it's this way.
left.
Underground tunnels is a really effective strategy that the Netherlands uses, especially like with barriers that they want to be able to prioritize, like the train tracks, your transit lines. Being able to do a high quality tunnel, and high quality, I mean, it's very comfortable. You've got good lighting, and you can see through it. Things that are very, very essential for comfort for all ages and abilities. The city of Boulder, Colorado has approaching 100 tunnels under major roadways. And so that's one of the strategies to their off-street network of pathways that they do quite well. Their biggest weakness is it's difficult for them and for most other North American cities to claw space back away from the automobile and give it to people walking and biking. So even though their off-street network is phenomenal, and you know, nearly 100 underpasses helps make that flow happen, they still, once you get up to the street level, there's some challenges. So
now,
you have to have a little bit of both.
I'm really curious if foundations will get involved, and for example, like in Copenhagen, they'll buy certain homes at critical intersections to help with that flow. And they might create a tunnel through an existing home.
Yeah. Every municipality, every city has to kind of figure out what's going to work with for them. Given their funding realities and how things get funded. So.
So we'll go. Hello. Moyen.
And speaking of little ones.
Moyen. Moyen.
Hey, hey.
Hi. Moyen. So this is the kind of hedging that is climate resilient because it's native.
Right.
And you can see it really helps cool things down.
Right.
And I can tell you on windy days, it's a must-have.
Yeah.
So just outside the city, you can see the cows grazing over there. It's now in Luxembourg, we still have a system of letting the fields stay fallow, and there's hope. I mean, I'm really curious how many capital cities, like when you think of, I grew up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
We moved from D.C. out to the suburbs to Reston.
Yeah.
And there was a bike trail going along I-66, but there were no e-bikes back then. So if you wanted, to bicycle into town, you could do it, and you'd be really fit.
Yeah.
But it was a chore, and in rain and snow, it was no fun.
Yeah. Getting my workout in.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an easy hill.
Yeah.
There are a couple of them. Like if I go down, there's one hill. If I go down, I'll be going 75 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Moyen. Oppa. We go left. All right.
Woo. All right. We just climbed up that steep hill.
Yeah.
We passed a couple of different school groups, children. We're now up in single family home area.
A couple of embassies are located here as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
There's the Greek embassy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious, like when you get to the suburbs, I guess it's like everywhere, the bicycle-friendly signs, you see less and less than when you're in the city.
Right.
And one thing that impressed me was in Velo City in Ghent, the world-class explanations and support the people for the cycling superhighways that they have.
Right.
And that's one thing that they're building across Flanders, in Ghent's case, across Denmark. But in Luxembourg, we don't yet have a cycling superhighway system.
Right.
And I'd love people's ideas. How do you pollinate that in a car-happy country?
Right. Build it.
Build it.
That's how you cultivate it. You got to build it.
Yeah.
It's never as simple as build it and they will come. But if it's not built, they can't come to it.
Yeah.
So it's almost always the first step.
Yeah, to build it, yeah.
You know? And that's an awkward place to be in as a municipality, because oftentimes what that means is that in the interim, as you're starting to build out your network and it's not yet complete, it's in a very awkward, if you want to use like a teenager, analogy, it's sort of like an awkward adolescent who's not quite a child and she's not quite an adult yet.
Yeah.
And so there's some awkwardness to it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when we are in the midst of building out a cycle network and a pedestrian network where people feel comfortable and invited and welcome. It's hard to get there when it's just fragmented. But as it builds out, and at the same time, you're overlaying what I call the software, the programming, to engage and inspire people to use it more.
Yeah. It's not really coddling, it's really just building high quality infrastructure that people feel safe to use it all the time.
Yep, and then education and engagement and encouragement and other incentives. Then you get to the other thing that we were talking about earlier is what are you doing to disincentivize car use everywhere for all things, always.
Yeah. So here's an interesting point. Here's a bridge if you want to just take a stop here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull out, I have a NIOSH noise meter. Anything above 50 decibels is bad for your long-term health.
Right.
Contributes to heart attacks, contributes to everything, weakening your immune system.
Yeah.
I'll just press play. So the peaks are about 90 when I speak a lot, 97. Instantaneous is 76, so it's already above the European Environment Agency's recommended threshold. And if we were cycling down here by the highway, it would be way over 100.
Yeah.
So my question is, when you have an overpass like this, if children, if vulnerable people, if normal people experience this, it makes it really unpleasant.
Yeah.
So what can you do to change that?
Yeah.
Have you seen great solutions for overpasses over highways?
The answer is yes.
Ooh, awesome.
So I intentionally moved us so
that
we could
better.
actually speak a little better, because it's really hard to speak over there. Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is the implementation of sound barriers where you're going to have people walking and biking so that you decrease that. You see mitigation factors in the speed. The noise level goes up as speed levels go up. You look at mitigation factors in the type of pavement. Certain pavements are quieter than others. Certain tires are quieter than others. There's a whole list of noise mitigation factors, including not increasing VMT, vehicle miles traveled. And so that's one of the things, like in the Netherlands, if there's a highway or a roadway planned, it's like, what's the impact going to be, of increased number of motor vehicles in this neighborhood? Is that going to have a negative impact on noise pollution, on air pollution, on all these other factors?
Yeah.
And it has to be, it's not a granted and a given that the road's going to happen. In too many places, in too many motor normativity, car brain places, it's a rubber stamp.
Yeah.
Road's going to happen, and then they say, okay, well, what mitigating factors that we can do? There, it's the opposite. It's really saying, do we really need this road? Can we do without it? Can we eliminate a road? It's violating our standards. So, yes, look no further than the Netherlands, once again, for some really good standards on how to do it. But I can tell you, I've been on many overpasses like this in the Netherlands where they have put some sound barriers and other factors in place, and it's nowhere near this noisy. So, but again, speed is a huge factor. So, lowering motor vehicle speeds in that environment, lowering motor vehicle speeds in your residential areas, huge to the noise factor. Because even if you go to electric cars, the majority of the noise is coming from the tires once you get above a certain speed limit.
And so I'm really curious, watershed investigations based journalistic team based in Great Britain. They produce stunning detailed maps that the Guardian newspaper has picked up, showing microplastic pollution from tires.
Oh, sure.
And what I would love to see is mitigation for that, but also a growing awareness. Like, for example, we're going to pass by La Provençale, which is the biggest, it's like the Costco for food in Luxembourg.
Yeah.
They have easily 50, maybe more trucks doing deliveries all day.
Right.
And also a Costco style where people will go and pick up the groceries.
Yeah.
Imagine if there were a fleet not just of regular rental bikes from the city, but really useful cargo bikes where you could do your shopping.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm curious, when you're in the Netherlands, when you're in Denmark, and you see 75% of people traveling either walking, cycling, public transportation, and less than or no more than 25% of people traveling by car. Are those economies, are they more robust? Because people here, the mayor here will say that we're very attractive. And my question always to her is, to what and to who?
Yeah.
And what outcomes?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good point. The answer to your question is yes. It's a thriving economy. Yes.
I'm just gonna stay right until we get there.
Okay.
And there's a great restaurant that we'll go to in a restored abattoir in Esch.
Okay.
So we just. So here you'll see like the bicycle path ends. Over there you have another bicycle path, but not really a bicycle path. It's really for people walking their dog if they happen to be in this transitioning area that used to be farmland, but now business is getting encroaching.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really curious, like, what's the business model for an economy? Do you elevate the infrastructure and say, okay, our biological capacity is this, and we can't make any more mistakes, or what's the plan?
Yeah.
When you go country to country, city to city?
It really depends. I mean, the most awkward part is, again, the transition.
Yeah.
It's hard to go from being all in on something like this for 80 years.
Yeah. I think right there you nailed it. It's hard to do business as usual for 80, and then the calls for climate change action are so strong, but the folks in charge are used to a Fox News style feigned ignorance.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, the building out of literally a bike network everywhere is cheap.
Yeah.
Compared to what we spend on the build out of motor vehicle infrastructure, it's pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, absolutely. It was shocking when I was given the numbers in Denmark. So this is one of the sites for the biggest construction company in Luxembourg, Giorgetti. He's been around for about 100 years.
Okay.
He would be a good person to find who's in charge of their active mobility planning. They built the longest bicycle bridge in Europe that we're going to go see. So it's interesting. It says bicycle, but if my 18-year-old daughter told me she was going to be cycling here, I'd be like, eh.
Yeah.
But you can still smell the wildflowers. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Have you been interviewing a few people in the women in cycling community?
What's that?
Have you been interviewing a few people or a few people you like in the women in cycling community, especially?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
I love that group. I'm in their LinkedIn conference calls. Or the Zooms. I love them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Are you doing all right? You're not too, the pace is okay?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm hanging in there. Again, you can just kind of tell we're in that industrial sort of zone.
Yeah.
A church steeple in the distance. Heading back into a historic town,
Yeah.
village.
Mm-hmm. In about 5 minutes, we'll leave the road system and head to a dedicated cycling path.
What was that again?
In about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
we'll be able to leave the road and head
Okay.
to a dedicated cycling path.
Yeah. I mean, this is like a really good opportunity for a multi-use path for sure.
Yeah.
And given the horses around here too, I would even say it's opportunity for a horse path.
That would be great.
Some of the EuroVelo network also shares some equestrian space too.
Yeah.
So,
Is that right?
sure, why
Oh, good.
not? Again, you just need to adjust cyclist behavior to be appropriate for, you know, around horses, but
Yeah. It's interesting you say that. When I go to the grocery store,
yeah.
I take the Bridal Pass, the horse pass. We go left here, sorry. And I love taking in the forest
Yeah.
the Bridal Pass because it's just a completely different
Yeah.
feeling.
Head south on Route 6.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
What do you think of the speed bumps here? Do you give those
This
a good
is,
grade?
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic traffic calming installation. You've got your chicanes with the little planters there. This is all lighter, quicker, cheaper materials you can deploy very quickly. It sends a message that, you know, this is people-oriented space. I mean, you look at the pedestrian realm, half of it's blocked, so people are going to be walking in this street, let
Kids,
alone riding a bike, let alone playing kickball or soccer, football. Yeah, do whatever you have to, you know. If you can, make it beautiful. That way, it's embraced more enthusiastically by the residents.
And these stone planters are really beautiful.
Yeah, these are beautiful. More of this. I love it. You got all our houses here, and then an old barn, farm equipment. There's some chickens over there.
Fresh eggs if you need them.
Very nice.
The bicycle path is on our right soon. I call this a bicycle path. It's not really, it's just not much used street.
Yeah. Sort of a quiet rural road.
Yeah.
What a delightful road.
Yeah.
like-
I'm just recording how many birds I can find on the Cornell app.
Nice.
If we had gone to the big forest on the other side of the city, close to where I live, where the CSA farm is, and you let your bird ID app go,
Yeah.
I found 20 species of birds, including 2 kinds of owl.
Nice.
It is nice. Often I'll travel with my dog Kiki in the car.
Yeah.
Sorry, in the cargo box. And especially in town when I'm at a red light, people will ask me, "Why are you traveling with your dog?"
Yeah.
And I joke with them, well, I'm part of the smoothness quality control for our infrastructure.
Yeah.
If she's not happy, then I know that
Yeah. It's not
the
smooth
surface
enough.
isn't smooth enough. And they ask, really, does the Luxembourg, the city of Luxembourg, really have that quality control? And I'm like, if you ask for it, they will.
There you go.
So I'm gonna guess that person who honked at us, hold on. I'm gonna guess that she was a member or he was a member of the far right here
Yeah.
that exists.
Oh, yeah.
And their platform, their political platform is they will never outlaw the fossil fuel internal combustion engine.
Right.
And they really take an aggressive stance against cycling infrastructure,
Yeah.
very Trumpy,
Yeah.
and cyclists. So that's, I always find it interesting when someone says that he wants to see more respect.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well.
Yeah. I always tell people to take the most positive interpretation of that communication device. It's a one-way communication device of a beep, of a honk.
Yeah. That's true too.
It wasn't like a laying on of the horn.
Yeah.
Of like, get out of my way, I hate you, I'm gonna run you over. It was a beep, and she was going into a blind corner. So if anything, I felt like, yeah, all right, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. So.
No, I agree. That's always, that's my mantra too. Okay. So we go down here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm really curious what you see when you're editing these videos that you didn't.
Oh, tons. You see so much. So much that you didn't see. You also see far less too.
Yeah.
Because in the video, you're only seeing a certain angle, whereas in reality, I can turn my head because my camera's not attached to my eyes. So I'm able to see periphery, I'm able to turn my head and see a lot of other stuff. So sometimes people are like, wait a minute, you just ignored that pedestrian, getting ready to cross.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, no, I made eye contact with him. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. It's like, so you miss a lot on camera too.
Yeah. So this I find interesting. It says frequent accidents on this strip, and yet they don't have bumps on the road to make people slow down.
Yeah. But they've done some heavy-duty research, and they've figured out that people who have crashes read signs, so they did put the sign out.
Yeah.
Problem fixed.
I like your sense of humor, sir.
Yeah, of course, the dirty secret of the whole transportation industry, like Wes Marshall and I were talking about in our live stream.
That was an awesome live stream.
Yeah, it's a great book. You're going to have to read it. But it's, the dirty secret is it's not about safety. It's just all about moving cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard for the profession to admit that because that just seems so dirty.
Yeah.
But it's the truth.
It's self-evident.
Yeah. Well, it is if you're looking at the right thing.
Yeah.
It's hard for them because it's hard for people to see something different when the status quo is how you make your living.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of my ride with Christian in the Luxembourg countryside. In part 2, we're going to see some better side paths and some really exciting cycle infrastructure further on down the line. Hey, if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below and share it with a friend. And if you haven't done so already, I'd be honored to have you subscribe to the channel. Just click on that subscription button down below and ring that notifications bell. And if you're enjoying this content here on the Active Towns channel, please consider supporting my efforts by becoming an Active Towns ambassador. Hey, it's super easy to do. Just click on the join button right here in YouTube down below, or navigate over to activetowns.org. Click on the support tab at the top of the page, and there's several different options, including becoming a Patreon supporter. Patrons do get early and ad-free access to all this video content. And before we say goodbye, I need to give a shout out to all my Active Towns ambassadors supporting the channel on Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, YouTube Super Thanks, YouTube memberships, as well as making contributions to the nonprofit. Hey, I simply could not do this without you. Thank you all so much. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in today. And until next time, this is John signing off by wishing you much activity, health, and happiness. Cheers.